Hi, welcome to this week's Ask Mama Amy, and this is a continuation of our last week's topic of top 11 rules of getting your parents aging ready. So tip number 5 is you want to make sure you have detailed written documents and directions about your parents' end-of-life decision making. Now, the typical 1 to 2 page living will forms that you see online typically are not honored by healthcare providers because of liability issues. And a lot of the times, a lot of the provisions are missing. And so the best combo for your parents is not only the living will, the Advanced Healthcare Directive. These two terms are the same, basically meaning the same thing. And also include a healthcare power of attorney and a separate HIPAA authorization. When you have all three together, then that makes it more likely that it'll be effective in terms of helping your parents. It is not enough to say on the Healthcare Directive or the Advanced Healthcare Directive, also called the Living Will, it is not enough to say, I do not want artificial procedures or artificial means or unnecessarily sustain my life, without defining what exactly that means. Because the reality is the hospital or the doctors always have things they can do to keep you alive. Sadly, that's the reality of our modern technology and medical world. So you want to make sure that the document that your parents have does have clear definitions, and you may have to just talk to them. You want to also get a digital copy of that and register it with the California Secretary of State if possible, right? And tip number 6 is you want to avoid probate. Now, currently in 2020 in California, the probate threshold is $166,250. If you have assets above this amount, then you likely have a probate issue. That means you would have to go to court in order to get the assets and in order to to inventory the assets, to distribute the assets. So you want to do everything you can to avoid probate. How do you do that? You can create trusts, you can name beneficiaries, you can co-own assets. There are many different ways you can take to avoid probate. Tip number 7 is you want to avoid gifts. Now remember, if you are trying to get your parents qualified for long-term care, get the government benefit to help you with that $10,000 cost of your monthly care, you want to avoid gifting because under the law, there are certain penalties imposed on gifting that's done within a certain period of time. So there's a look back period of time. And so you want to be careful. You definitely want to consult with an elder law attorney before you do anything like that. Tip number 8 is you want to discuss whether a family caregiving agreement might be appropriate or might be helpful in your situation. It's part of the planning for aging, and you want to list the caregiver responsibilities, who's responsible for what and at what time, how much compensation is due. We sometimes see adult children quit their jobs in order to care for their parents, and so that can become kind of dicey if they're not making money because they quit their job, right? And where does the income come from? How are they able to support their parents? So where does the money come from is a really realistic issue. So on the family caregiving agreement, you want to make sure to include several things, such as who pays the bill, where does the bill payment come from, who receives the mail, who coordinates with the healthcare provider, who advocates for mom and dad, and who works with mom and dad's attorney, accountant, or financial advisor, if any, and also appropriate living arrangements and maintaining, or whether you want to sell the house or maintain the house, allow mom and dad to stay at home, and coordinate and advocate with the insurance company. Hope that helps, and that's tip number, we've covered 8 tips so far. Next week we'll go on to the remaining of the tips. Thank you so much for watching Ask Mama Amy on Senior Care. Thank you.